So the transfer window opens on the 14th of June, which is also the same day that Euro 2024 kicks off, which is quite interesting. And, a lot of focus is going to be on England, hopefully going all the way to the final. And a little exclusive, actually, that I haven't told anyone this, but I'm actually going to the Euros this year, thanks to TalkSport, who I work for. Most of you will know that. But yeah, I'm off to the tournament as long as England are there. So hopefully all the way to the final. So make sure to, if you haven't already, down in the link below, my socials are down there, to follow me on Instagram and on X to see probably some good updates of me throughout my time in Germany. But linking to that, as I say, the transfer window. And we are being linked to a lot of English players. And I did a video on Saturday just gone about asking various YouTubers who they would want, or who they think Tottenham's most important signing would be this summer. And there was a few names that kept coming up, a few names that were being repeated. I said that I'd like the idea of Ivan Toney, an Englishman, because Tottenham, for those of you who are not Spurs fans watching this video, you will know that Tottenham's homegrown quota is an issue going into the 2024-25 campaign. And in most recent days and weeks, we're being linked to a lot of Englishmen, from the likes of Ivan Toney, as I said. Conor Gallagher has been on the radar for a little while now. But I wanted to talk today about two transfers who have sort of, got my interest, and I feel like they could be good signings. One who will come in and be a stellar signing, and one who will come in and potentially be a player for the future. So before I get into it, I'd like to say a massive thank you for, views on the recent videos and the subscriber count going up. I really do appreciate you. But if you haven't already and you are new around here, if you could leave a like in down below, and also subscribe to the Sunny Talk Spurs YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and if you haven't already, look in the link in the description down below and you can become a member of Sunny Talk Spurs for 99p a month and get exclusive access to my podcast, Nice One Sunny. More episodes coming throughout the month. But there's two names in particular. One of these players was mentioned in that Asking the YouTubers video, and that was Eberechi Eze. And the more, actually what's quite interesting, and if you are new to the channel, you probably wouldn't have seen my first ever video, but in my first ever video for Sunny Talk Spurs, I mentioned Eberechi Eze over the likes of James Maddison because I thought that Eze would be more of a gettable asset out of Palace. Because, if we look at Palace last year, before the season, they were treading water a little bit and not really pulling up any trees. And James Maddison, came off a quite okay season and a couple of seasons before that for Leicester, even though they got relegated. But I believe that Eberechi Eze, even though some people were saying, oh, is he just similar to Maddison, he is versatile enough to get into that Tottenham midfield and would be a great option for depth as well. We, occasionally we've seen Kulusevski go into the number 10 position and it hasn't really worked somewhat. Kulusevski, some saying could he actually be a 9, but who knows. But Eberechi Eze as a potential winger come 10, alongside Maddison, I think would be one of the perfect prospects for Tottenham Hotspur. My only issues with and some Twitter sources have said it, that Tottenham are expected to initiate talks with Crystal Palace for the potential signing of Eberechi Eze. And apparently there is maybe a gentleman's agreement according to transfer.com, football transfers. But not sure how reliable that is of a source. But yeah, we all know about gentleman's agreements at Tottenham, don't we, with Mr. Harry Kane. But the thing is with Palace is they've got a lot of power in this transfer window. A lot of their players, 4 players are currently in the England squad for them. Dean Henderson, Eberechi Eze, Mark Gahey and Adam Wharton. And, a lot of their players are being linked with moves, which they tend to do because Palace, no offence, are a bit of a selling club. But they have a lot of power because they don't necessarily need to sell all of these high-profile assets. They could sell maybe one of, Frenchman Michael Olise or Eze. They could do one or the other. They won't probably do both in this window. Michael Olise was, an option, but I don't think he would. I think Eze is more of the likely signing. But the thing is, it means that Eze could cost a pretty penny. And for a position where, as I've said, do we need that sort of midfielder? It does make you think, like, is that actually an option for us? Because I've touted, strikers like Ivan Toney, a number 6 like Amadou Onana. But Eze, I think it makes a lot of sense for Tottenham to pursue this deal yet again. I mean, an Englishman, a talented Englishman, who is still so young in the he's only 25. And in footballing terms, I still think that's pretty young. And I feel like this team needs more creativity, more forward-thinking passes, more flair, and he has that in abundance. And the other Englishman who's being linked with us quite a lot recently happens to be the brother of a Real Madrid Galactico, of, probably the best English player this season. And is just a marvel. It's obviously the brother of Jude Bellingham, but it's Jobe Bellingham who is currently plying his trade at Sunderland. And, sources have said that Sunderland are believed to want a fee in excess of 20 million if they're to sell Jobe Bellingham, and Tottenham are one of the clubs interested. I like the idea of this deal. I think Jobe Bellingham has a lot of potential. Obviously, as I say, the younger brother of Jude. Jude Bellingham is, I think, soon will be turning 21, and Jobe is 18, so he's got a lot of potential. And we know with Ange Postecoglou signings, he does like to develop players, and what better than, someone who has got a lot of potential, I think, Jobe. I feel like he is a good, versatile midfielder who has had an all-right season for Sunderland and had potential when he was at Birmingham as well. And I think there's a bit of stiff competition, really, for the signing of Jobe Bellingham. Lots of Premier League teams are interested in the signing of the 18-year-old. But, again, Tottenham, homegrown talent. It does seem to be, the sort of the flavour of the month that Spurs are looking. There's a reason we've signed, for example, Brennan Johnson over the likes of Kudos, because, British homegrown, it helps us in the long term because we have such a deficit when it comes to that. And, we've got this young academy that I did a video on recently that we're looking to bleed into the first team. So it looks like Tottenham are building this, and it's quite annoying when you think about it. I think we've also been linked with Carl Walker-Peters, as I said, Conor Gallagher, Marcus Edwards, our former player, Eze, Tony. So, 5 homegrown players being linked there. And, the likes of Ederson from Atalanta, who a lot of people in my comment section really want. A lot of the players from recent videos like Benjamin Sesko, who might be going to Arsenal. It's less of these sort of players and more of these sort of players that we're getting linked to. But, I mean, if we had a transfer window and maybe got the likes of, Ivan Toney, Eberechi Eze, Carl Walker-Peters, these are areas we're looking to, implement and go. Those 5 players, I've seen it in a recent tweet. If we were to maybe get those 5 players, I think, that would be quite a good transfer window. I mean, Conor Gallagher, will he potentially be signing for Tottenham Hotspur now that Enzo Maresca has been announced at Chelsea? I mean, it is looking more likely. I've not been the biggest fan of this move, but part of me would find it funny that, Chelsea, one of Chelsea's best players last season, would end up coming to their biggest rival. I'm not sure if Conor Gallagher would like the move, but yeah, it's interesting. But maybe that's a thing maybe to ask you guys. What sort of English players, British players, would you like to see at Tottenham if this is the avenue we're going down to help the homegrown?